Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're getting right into the match right off the bat for the Sunday night Bronze, Silver, Gold Competitive Series, Week 8, of course, as I believe I've already said. Frosty Esports versus Nevermore. We get right into the first ban. Gangplank already gone and out of there fast and quick. By the way, good old partner caster of mine over here who has casted previously on Saturday. Big fan of his casting so far. And I also heard that you recently got yourself promoted, both in the sense of, like, you know, getting onto that next level of tier in League of Legends. Ladies and gentlemen, Draxier, right here.
Hello, I will be your color commentator today, providing analysis in this upcoming Frosty versus Nevermore match. Let's take a look at the bans, a couple of updates. We have Tarek and Zoe coming in, targeting support and mid, respectively. We have seen Shyquin play Azir, and that was pretty good, so we might see something along those lines as well.
Yeah, and I will... Actually, a little surprising on the Nocturne ban. Wait, why did they ban Nocturne? That's kind of a weird one. I don't think Solo Ross has ever played Nocturne before. To see it here
definitely
is...
interesting.
Yeah, very
in terms
surprising.
In terms of a champion ban, it's actually not that bad. Recent buffs kind of put him into the A tier spot for the jungle position, so pretty good champion in general. However, like we have mentioned before, and we'll mention once again, in this kind of league, it is far more important to ban the champions that your enemies actually play rather than just banning the metas at the time. So definitely interesting with the first three letters capitalized. Ban against Solo Ross if he does not play that champion.
So in this situation, it looks like Xayah was taken. Braum immediately gets taken right away as well. And Psycho Sully, by the way, the music that is playing right now is Psycho Sully's music, just to let you know. And Braum right away was selected in the... Oh, Cho'Gath after that. Okay then. I thought it was going to go for the classic Braum Sejuani stacking stun combo. That usually seems to be pretty OP if you think about it. They can just kind of hit one ability, they can hit a stun after each other's passes, and then they can just kind of get a really long sit down with that person. I don't know, it seems like a really good idea. I don't know why they didn't really want to get it right away, but it still seems to be an option because Solo Ross and Orianna have been selected here too.
Kindred and Orianna. Kindred being a pretty weak champion right now, going to have to rely on some kind of innate champion comfortability or mechanics on his part. And of course, Orianna being a really solid pick right now. The recent mana itemization changes to the mid lane with that new Archangel staff, giving Orianna quite a bit of early game power as well. Ooh, Swain locked in for To Live Is To Smile on that mid lane.
Yep. In this situation, Swain has, with that confirm on Swain, that's a lot of CC lockdown. You just really need to get, you don't even need to really use your your Q anymore to rake him in. You can just have it automatically pull in right when Cho'Gath gets the knockup or Braum gets his passive to stack. That's a really good ability to have.
Usually Swain's E, the hook, gets people into his range of damage with his Q and his W, but in this case he might be able to utilize his pass to do that instead. Psycho Sully has popped off on the Cho'Gath jungle before, having good KDAs and lane pressure as well. We'll see if he can replicate the feat. That's why I like that pick, just because we've seen him on it previously and relatively recently. Now let's get to the second round of bans.
Yeah, and in this situation, I'm ever so more curious if the ADC is going to be selected for Nevermore right away. I think it's a good option, but at the same time, having a mid-laning choice, unless they're taking mid-Swain, it could either be a top... actually, I'm a little confused here. Is Swain mid and Cho'Gath top, or is Cho'Gath being the jungle here?
That's definitely the jungle. Psycho Sully has played Cho'Gath jungle before.
True. I thought maybe he'd try something different, but I guess that might not be the case.
And considering that Frosty is banning out two top laners, they do believe that it's Swain mid and Cho'Gath jungle respectively, which is what I assumed it to be. Of course, both those picks can be flexed around quite easily, so let's go take a look. Sivir locked in.
ADC.
It's too bad he doesn't know how to play Caitlyn.
Tossing a little shade onto the guy, but going on to the other person you tossed shade on, not a real doctor. Let's see what his option
Ooh,
has.
Camille locked in for Mordekaiser. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch in the top lane.
Oh yeah, and against a possible Swain is still up for debate. I think at this point, I don't know if you want to send Swain against a Camille. I feel like Camille could just really make a lot of quick plays before Swain can get his abilities to land. I feel like Camille could make those trades happen just a little too quickly and get avoidance. You know, kind of avoid everything else.
Alistar locked in.
Secured here. Gonna, you know, all the champions didn't really need speed. That would be Alistar. So let's hope he's gonna get it.
We're looking for those boots purchase on Not a Real Doctor, known for not buying boots until like 4th item. Teemo Hover, this has got to be a troll.
Yep, not to be surprised by this, but yeah, there it is, there it is, yeah, there it is.
All right, so it is going to be
Camille going up against each other in the top lane, and I've been hearing some solo queue tales of where Nasus ends up losing to a Camille on occasion.
Absolutely.
Because that ridiculous 1,000 true damage proc that a Camille can really pull off when they get certain amounts of items. So that's where I'm kind of bringing up some question marks here for Blitzykins. Then again, maybe he's got something. And he's got some confidence going into this, knowing Psycho Sully's so far with the Cho'Gath has been consistent and has been able to turn and break the streak of Nevermore's record, giving them their very first win. So maybe this is exactly what they are intending to do. Maybe just get that late game, get one of the late game champions, and just kind of push your way through the early game till you win.
Absolutely, and keep in mind that after Nasus' ultimate rework now reduces the duration, the CD on his Q, he is now not just a late game champion, but quite a bit of a mid-game dueling menace as well. So if Camille cannot bully the Nasus meaningfully in the early laning phase, and if they go even, or if Nasus gets ahead somehow, Nasus will completely dominate Camille in that 1v1. So Camille really has to push that lead or look for some kindred ganks before Nasus hits that Triforce mark. Otherwise, Camille's in trouble in the bot lane, where, of course, the bot lane meta lies in these current patches and the patches that we've seen so far recently. Xayah Alistar versus Sivir Braum is going to be much of a farm lane. Not a lot of ways you can get on top of the Sivir with that Braum protecting her, and, of course, the Sivir's wave clear. So I think I'll give this one to the Xayah just because Xayah is a higher tier champion in general, and, of course, will outscale the Sivir as the mid game and late game comes in. Greater range with that ultimate self-kiting ability as well. But we'll see how they play it, of course. In Duo League, champ tier doesn't mean everything. It's oftentimes comfortability on a champion as well as overall skill level that can make the difference. So let's talk a little bit about the mid lane now, the last lane to discuss, as we have 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Orianna versus Swain.
That's kind of a tough read. With the fact that I don't really know fully of Swain's ability in damage, I know that he's got a really interesting burst, but a lot of his abilities kind of come down to, can you avoid it, and can you make every single proccing damage hurt? But looking on the opposite side with Orianna, that's almost the exact same thing. Can you get those hits to land, and can you make your damage hurt? And in that sense, it's poorly described by me, of course, but in that sense, it is really the big question that I have to know between Orianna and Swain, because their speeds are much different. Orianna's Q speed is a little bit on a decent side. I'd say a little bit faster than Swain's grab. But as for Swain's burst, I think it's just a little bit more emphasis on his bursting than Orianna. And they both have a lot of control and positioning. In fact, they are basically very similar to each other in a lot of ways. But I think the main factor difference is Swain's ultimate versus Orianna's barrier. That's kind of what makes these two very much different. And that is going to be, can Orianna overwhelm and keep down Swain when Swain has this very powerful ultimate? Or will Swain's able to get health back, able to dish out pain at the same time? Is that too powerful to be overcome by mere burst? That is just going to have to be the answer that we will find out coming up.
Absolutely. I actually played this matchup yesterday. I was the Orianna versus a Swain. And a lot of it came down to who could push the wave faster, as it often comes down to mid lane. So as the Orianna, I kind of felt stronger than the Swain up until level 6, until when I felt the 1v1 shift. Swain now had the upper hand in terms of 1v1 dueling pressure. But of course, I would still have the upper hand in multi-person engagements where I could get multiple people with my ultimate, while he can only really burst one guy out with all of his abilities. So up until level 6, Orianna does have the advantage if played correctly. She did take Summon Airy versus Swain's Phase Rush, so definitely can push that even harder. However, after level 6, like I said, really has to be careful of that hook into his full combo. Can do a lot of damage, surprisingly. Of course, with the Cho'Gath ganks as well, CC will lock her down for quite a while. I actually had to take Cleanse against the Amumu jungle in my own game, so opting for that teleport for that map pressure instead, not going to have a defensive spell to save her. So I'd like to see some mid pressure coming out from Psycho Sully here.
Well, that all comes down to how Psycho Sully will play this situation. Again, it is not confirmed on exactly where his approach is going to be, because when he does make that approach, it certainly has this interesting outcome. Ooh, thank you very much for the subscribe, Tiger KG. Really appreciate that. With a tier 1 sub, by the way. Yeah, I know you are a bit of a streamer on your own. Have you had anybody sub to you before? Drax.
I thought you were addressing Tiger KG. I said, that's interesting. A streamer subbing to us. No, I have not applied for affiliate nor partner yet, so no subs in that regard. But the game is starting. 5-point spread coming out from both teams. Pretty standard stuff. However, Kindred is positioned towards the top side, might look for a cheeky buff steal. And of course, on the side of Nevermore, there are 4 people in that bush. Alistair, be careful.
Ooh, he's sniffing it out, but I don't know what he's smelling. It could instantly be death. Not a real doctor, maybe playing with fate here. It's going to be a knockup. The root will come into play, and that's a
Sunlance
CC lockdown onto him. That's a free take for Sivir. And that is just playing with fire, and you're just going to get burnt even if you're standing next to a river. That's just going to happen.
He did actually not know. He did not know that they were in that bush, assuming that the enemy went for the standard 5-point spread. Got caught out by the Cho'Gath Q, of course, and to the Swain passive, as we mentioned. Great synergy there, and that's why I said we had to focus on that Orianna if the Cho'Gath wanted to get ahead. Great kill pickup for Sivir, longsword, and an extra pot. Going to make this lane a lot more difficult for Xayah Alistair to keep up with her wave clear.
Oh, it's Tigger. Oh, hey, Tigger. Alright, well, anyway, back to the focus at hand here. It looks to be aggro swapping has done something to that blue buff. Let's hope that is not going to force Sully to reset. Is that a reset? Okay, for a second there, I thought he reset on that blue buff because of the aggro swapping. But he did manage to get that done quick enough, so thank goodness for that. Alistair giving away a first blood, not ideal. But what is also not usually ideal is to go for the rejuvenation bead. And he actually has one.
Absolutely no pots available for him, so Sivir can find some meaningful poke onto that Alistair. They can definitely put a massive pressure spot into that bot lane of Frosty Esports.
In this situation, Nasus, by the way, as we have semi-mentioned, it is going to be Kleptomancy on his character. And Kleptomancy Nasus has been a little bit nerfed quite in a certain category. I believe the category that I'm trying to say anyway is in the sense of practicality. Most of the time, Nasuses have decided to go for the grasp just to get some better health percentage proc, considering you're already heading for that direction, or head over to try to get something else from your other abilities. But so far, Blitzy doesn't seem to be too concerned about that. He takes a minor trade from Mordekaiser.
Absolutely. Camille's going to have that pressure difference in the top lane. However, she did opt for the Doran Shield start, so she's not actually going to put any meaningful damage onto that Nasus for a while. Going to have to trade at least 3 or 4 times to make any meaningful health deficit in that area. In the mid lane, Shaiquin bullying out the Swain already showing his prowess as a mid laner. Like I said, this mostly comes down to skill matchup, so him winning this right now in this early game means that... Oh, it takes a tower shot, and right as I say that, the trade goes RI. In the top lane, Cho'Gath ganks.
Ooh, yep, and he will not connect the E here. Mordekaiser's going to be on the run, forced to flash. He tries to get out of this rough situation. He goes and slows only one member. He should be able to escape. Meanwhile, the mid lane fight continues. Orianna completely out of mana there, and it will be no commitment strategy on either side. Ooh,
it's a massive...
down there.
Oh, Alistar's
going to go right in. Oh boy, and it's going to be a stun onto Sivir, but he's going to swing it right back with a spell shield.
And he does have 2 pots from that first kill, so he's going to heal right back up to full HP in no time.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Which one is the play-by-play caster and the color? I forgot which one we were doing.
It's a bit of a give and take, because I'm the, you know, I cut from general analysis into the play, and then...
Oh well,
and here we go.
Yeah, here we go indeed. Right away, they get collapsed on almost instantly, and they will end up going down rather fast. That's a good kill for the jungler and for the ADC.
Absolutely. Both flash, heal, exhaust, and flash available for Nevermore's bot lane, deciding not to burn anything to try and survive.
And that's a slow. Mordekaiser's got no retreat now. Needs one more Q to finish him off. He's not going to need it. Hits him with the end of the cane and brings him down. That is looking good for Blitzykins. Meanwhile, I think Swain may have pushed his luck a little bit too far. I don't think he wants to take a risky play here. He still has barrier, but Shaquin clearly looks to be the stronger opponent as of right now.
Absolutely bullying out that Swain into early game pre-6, as I mentioned, doing a good job of it as well. That Nasus picking up that early Sheen is going to make it extremely difficult for Camille to do anything, and it's going to be a really big issue for Frosty Esports to deal with in the next 20 minutes. But they did get the double kill in the bot lane for Convenience and Rost combined, going to equal out the pressure on the map quite a bit. We'll see, however, if Sivir and Braum can make a play onto these two. They still have all summoners available.
And you're kind of wondering, hey, we got the early kill. Do we start feeling more confident than our opponents? Should we forgo the fact that this is an Alistar Xayah, try to get some more aggressive play to just try to force him back? Or do we take the logic approach towards it and just play the lane like we're supposed to, even though we have a kill lead, or had a kill lead, I should say?
Absolutely. Keep in mind that because Sivir got that first blood, she has her Caulfield's Warhammer completed, so it will match that BF sword in terms of power spike, so they can't force too hard. That mistake at the first couple of minutes from Alistar coming back to bite them quite effectively there. Oh, the double knockup.
Yep, and he hits both of them on this one. Braum trying to do everything he can to stop Mr. Convenience from touching the ADC. Sivir is able to make the proc happen. It might be a big turning point here. Alistar doing everything in his power, waiting for the cooldown to finally come back. The Q lands, headbutts the Sivir back. Gonna try something sneaky. The W damage from Swain almost comes through, but it's still not enough. Mr. Convenience is barely alive, and Swain does not have another ability to go for Mr. Convenience either. Oh, so close for Nevermore.
Flash heal burn for that Xayah in exchange for the flash and exhaust from the Sivir Braum. A good trade overall. Could have gotten the kill on Xayah if he flashed forward so that Alistar could not knock him away with that headbutt on his W, but would have been a fancy outplay. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it. It's going to cause a bit of a CS differential in the next couple minutes, though, with that pressure that they gained in the mid lane. Orianna still bullying the Swain. Hopefully, Cho'Gath can alleviate some of this pressure. Might come around for the gank here.
He's looking at it, and he just needs a single CC to make that play work. Mr. Mordekaiser over here really struggling on these E's so far. Can't seem to connect them properly.
Fighting the river.
Oh, Shaquin's in a bad spot right now. To live is to smile. Ends up getting ulted by Orianna. It's going to be everybody committing every resource they can. Shaquin is pretty low, but he's not
Nasus
low
is
enough.
here.
Here comes an ultimate by Solo Ross. Nasus in the play. They're going to go ahead and hit him with every ability. The cane coming down on Shaquin. But meanwhile, Swain will end up going down to Solo Ross. It's a 3v1. Blitzykins wants one more for the road, and he's going to get it. Grabs himself a double kill. He's looking for more. Alistar is able to get the stun lock, and Braum decides to split focus, not going for what could have been a kill on either target. Nasus clearly made his decision, but Braum did not seem to know which one to go for there.
It was a great teleport by Blitzykins onto Nasus, netting him 2 kills, going to make this top lane matchup almost impossible for Mordekaiser. He's going to put a lot of damage on this first turret. Actually, no one came up top to respond. This could be first tower.
And they're certainly going to race him for it, whether Camille can get it or not. There's certainly going to be a tower falling in the next few moments. It's going to be a lot of damage by the bot lane. It's looking very, very close. I'm hoping it will be enough. And Camille will secure it before Nevermore gets that chance. And Nevermore will slowly but surely... Oh, wait a second. Okay, the minions did hit the tower.
Orion is here for the bot lane gank.
Shaquin. Oh, just enough mana for that ultimate. That might be enough for them to get out, and they will do so. Meanwhile, Blitzykins looking for one more. Mordekaiser needs to get out, and he will. Decent escape by Camille.
Flash had to be burned, though, going to suffer greatly when Nasus has his ultimate back up with those 2-second Qs going to land decaying onto that Camille. Not a massive way for her to get away from it.
Yeah, and he's been struggling a little bit on these E's so far. He's almost tossing it out there in the middle of the open, trying to grab onto anything, but that's not really how that ability works. A little unfortunate. I don't know what he's exactly aiming for, but I think when he gets CC'd, he just panically throws it out there, and that's a little unfortunate for him. But, you know, abilities work for a specific purpose and reason. That's just how Camille's ability works. You can't really just do it in midair. It just doesn't work that way.
Not going to latch onto any wall and allow you to dash. Kindred now 3-0-1 with 77 farm, 40 ahead of Psycho Sully on that Cho'Gath. Going to be one of the biggest menaces in the top team fights to come soon. It's going to be really Kindred versus Nasus, who can carry their respective teams to victory. Keep an eye on them for sure in these team fights. Let's take a look at the itemization.
Yep, and Nasus's approach appears to be the Triforce. Sorry, I guess you were just about to bring that up. But yeah, that is an interesting decision. That's Blitzykins saying, I feel pretty good about the fact that I'm not going to go extra armor for the mid and early game.
A fight breaks out near Rift Herald and mid lane.
Yeah, it does. Ultimate now activated by Swain. Brahms right behind him, nowhere to go for Shaquin, and that is going to be more than enough. Meanwhile, Cho'Gath gets taken out. Here comes Blitzykins. Oh, never mind. He's heading back to the lane as he realizes the fight is just about to come to an end.
3v1.
This Camille has to get out of here quick. Going to claw his way over to that wall. He does get there, by the way. Not a real doctor in position. The Q will not land, and it looks to be an escape successful by Mordekaiser.
That is still a 2-for-1. Psycho Sully went down, but so did 2 members of Frosty Esports. Oh, the Xayah!
Oh, I can't believe Nasus absolutely livid at the sight of that going away from him. Mr. Convenience secures it, and Blitzykins now
has no flash. Oh, the headbutt!
Oh, that might be a huge misplay on his part, and that may lead Alistar to going down. Blitzykins will end up grabbing a double kill for that. Oh, I see what he wanted to do, but it looked like he just did not get that positioning he was thinking he had. I think he wanted to try to get to the at least the 7 or 8 o'clock position, so Blitzy would be knocked into the wall, but that just did not factor right, and now ends up knocking him from the 7 o'clock position, which actually puts him right to where Nasus is really hoping he was going to end up, and that leads him to getting a good kill.
I'm not entirely sure. To me, it looked pretty clear and simple that Alistair really hated Convenience at that moment in time and wanted him dead.
Well, by the way, Not a Real Doctor has a Boots of Speed.
Oh!
So, looks like we won't be able to carry that
already improving from last week.
Alright, maybe we're being a little too far.
Psycho Sully has Cinderhole completed. Going to be not quite yet a tank menace, but as he stacks up his ultimate, will eventually gain the size and HP needed to be an effective front line for Nevermore. However, like I said, it's really going to be that Kindred versus Nasus. Still the front runners for their team. going to be doing a lot of damage respectively. Nasus, I would like to see him just split push the lane. There's no one that can come close to matching him. Triforce and Ninja Tabi completed at 13 minutes and 45 seconds.
Now we have Sivir pressuring against Camille, and it's pretty okay of a situation for a Sivir because Spell Shield basically can cancel out that stun that Camille's usually are able to do. So I think that's a safe way to push, and that's okay for Sivir to be on the split if it's Camille in that lane, I feel. What do you think?
Shyquin has landed some good ultimate so far. It is alright for Sivir to be matching the Camille as long as she has some backup. If she does not, the Camille can still run her over. However, Camille opted for the Merc Tread, so if the Camille misplays whatsoever, Sivir can definitely lay the smack down onto the robotic woman.
Mr. Convenience and the bot lane, as well as the mid lane of Frosty Esports, are currently holding off the tide of the four-man's push. Meanwhile, the jungler on the way over will force this to be a 4v4 until what appears to be Nevermore's new strategy of separating instead of sieging. Interesting.
They definitely need to leave that Sivir Braum in the mid lane, have Swain farm the side lane, and just wait for this Nasus pressure to amount to something. He looks a little bit afraid, not entirely sure where the Kindred is, so he's playing really far back, purchasing the Glacial Shroud, going to be a bit more armor to counter the Camille and Kindred as well.
Ooh, sad
Definitely
face spam. That's a sad face spam I've ever seen one from a Sivir. My goodness, he 100% is really upset that he's still hobbling, and his animation hasn't been fixed yet.
That might be a spectator bug, right?
It is, definitely.
Yeah.
It's also on YouTube videos as well, so that's just kind of one of those type of... Yeah.
Oh, he gets pulled over the wall!
Yes, and Alistar now locked into some CC. He will use his ultimate in self-defense. Can he get himself out of there? He gets the headbutt, and here comes
teleport
to the rescue. TP by Nasus, you were right. Here he comes in, and they're going to back off almost immediately as the 5v5 now is coming into play. They will be losing an Alistar for this, but Solaroth still in position. I don't know. A dive does not seem like a good call here.
Absolutely. Psycho Sully is missing these really important cues, not managing to knock up his enemy, missing the kill on the Camille gang top lane, and now the kill on the Alistar in the mid lane. That is 2 kills missed already due to faulty Q placement.
You know, in that narrow environment, I could have said that I think they could have made a quick play on Blitzy. He was kind of locked into a really rough spot. And
oh, here's the 5v5 over the Infernal.
Yep, and Shaquin and company are surrounding it. They're waiting for a certain number to hit as the Drake immediately resets. Meanwhile, Camille gonna be wedged in, and it looks like Kindred takes the steal. Orianna now finally caught, as it looks like he's trying to get out of there. It's not enough burst, but he's getting pretty close to that health bar on
Nasus 1v3.
Yep, and that one also seems to be falling apart for him. Shaquin was able to delay the inevitable, but I do not know if he can hold off a 4-man. Braum on the other side for the lockout. They're finally going to go for that collapse. It will appear to be Shaquin taking one member for the road, and he goes down afterwards. Meanwhile, a TP immediately by the Camille. He's going to try to take one of them with him, while the siege at mid continues.
Oh, missed the hook shot.
Yes, so close, but so far. And both Sivir and Cho'Gath back while this tower's falling down fast. That rotation worked out really well for Frosty Esports.
Frosty Esports picking up on that massive error. Nevermore just started the dragon, underestimating the Infernal Dragon damage onto Psycho Sully, who did not have any armor at the time. Still has no boost for Psycho Sully, not a real Dr. V2. He's going to be a very squishy Cho'Gath in that jungle, so he cannot frontline, and especially took so much damage from the Infernal Dragon that was effectively a 4v5.
Gonna try. Nope, isn't gonna force it anymore. Mordekaiser does have a good escape. He's gonna use it right here to get as far away from that Sivir as possible. Braum,
they could actually have chased him down there.
Yeah, actually, for a second there, it looked like Braum was going for it, but now he's going for some deep warding invades here. As it looks like Mordekaiser's now gonna wait for the wave to show up, as he's gonna start clearing out this camp. He's getting a
Yeah,
little
with
low,
several.
though, but I don't think he'll be low enough.
Oh,
I don't think he's going to... Oh, that doesn't heal anymore, I'm afraid. He will get it to be procced off, and he's going to start kiting it a bit better. It looks like he does kite this well enough, but it does reset. So he's actually okay. I was a little concerned. That's why I was talking about it so much. Don't want any of those accidental deaths to golem camps.
definitely want them. They're the best. With the Camille E being burned.
Not for his sake. That would be really bad. That would put him really far behind.
Camille burned E there to get away from the Sivir. So with the Sivir ultimate and the Braum Moby Boots plus flash available, that was definitely a kill on the Camille if they pursued it. Nasus is at 5-1 now. Oh, the catch on Braum.
Ooh, yep, and it might be a turning catch here. It looks to be... Oh, never mind. It looks like Kindred actually managed to get the kill on that. Actually, that re-engaged by Frosty Esports was definitely a good turn. He tries to use the ultimate for the burst. It wasn't as much as he was hoping for. The Q actually comes back. It's such a short cast thanks to that W. Solo Ross will end up getting another one and uses his ultimate in self-defense. I guess he didn't think that was going to do... I guess he thought it was going to do more than that, so he used it to keep himself alive. While Nasus's push is working, and Frosty Esports is now going to try to get this game done as fast as they can, as they cannot afford to make this game a 40-minute match, because that is where a lot of their advantages that all of Nevermore is looking for is what they're waiting on. So they have to try to end this match as quickly as they can, and that is working. They're making the rotations work in every set so far, and 5 towers have fallen.
Definitely some massive macro misplays by Nevermore, engaging there without their strongest member, Nasus there, as well as Psycho Sully not doing anything on the other side of the map, engaging in a one-man deficit, having, of course, that Swain being blown up. Did quite a bit amount of damage, actually, before he went down. Braum goes down as well at the beginning of the fight, so not a great fight for them to take. However, Sivir did pick up a couple kills recently, 4-2-2, 3 items completed, going to be pretty strong, matched perfectly by the Xayah with the exact same itemization. Oh!
Pressure right away, and it gets obliterated by that health percentage damage that this Kindred is able to do much cleanly now. I think that has got to be, what, 10% total health damage now? Isn't it 10% at this point? I don't know how many stacks he's got. I'll have to take a look.
Definitely a lot of damage, plus just the base damage with the IE and Runons completed is way more than anyone else can put out in this game anyway. There's so much gold onto this Kindred right now. 168 CS, 8, 1, and 2. 4 items completed, way ahead of everyone. Right now, Solo Rost is smurfing on these guys.
Fun choice of words, indeed. Solo Ross going with the crit build style is working right now, but it looks like
Nasus versus Solo!
Nasus, that might not be as easy of a play. Solo Ross is not even going to try to use his escape strategy. Gonna just go ahead and go down, the ultimate runs out. Nasus gonna go ahead for a full commit here, uses his ultimate. Alistar's the one that takes him out on that catch. Meanwhile, the fight for Nevermore continues. The ultimate gets into play. Braum does
no Cho'Gath here
to stay alive, but he will not be able to do so. Swain's burst damage was not as much as he was hoping, and to live is to smile is apparently to die is to frown, and as he goes down. Meanwhile, headbutt by Psycho Sully to send him right back to give him no chance to go for Murderkaiser.
Flash forward from Psycho, desperate to try and get something for his team. The hook shot misses as it has many times this game. Psycho Sully, macro is pretty weak this game. Not being in the right places at the right time is costing his team a lot of these fights that Blitzy is trying to do his best to win. Hopefully the next fight will be with everyone there on Nevermore's team. Otherwise, they will just lose.
There's an inevitability that I think Nevermore needs to start realizing here. There's a lot of towers being gone already. The Baron is up and available. Mistakes like this could lead Nevermore to losing their opportunity, and that is something they cannot afford. Meanwhile, Nasus is already very well built to survive this Kindred's damage. Meanwhile, with the Kindred, gonna steal that Drake, say, hey, I'll take that for him.
Engage, also has flash.
Meanwhile, Not a Real Doctor trying to get some CC. He does get Nasus with that. The root comes into play. It's going to be Mr. Convenience and Mordekaiser grabbing a kill for themselves. Another kill for Mr. Convenience. No, actually Mordekaiser gets the double kill. And it's Kindred that completes it for the ace. Wow. That was unprecedentedly clean by Frosty Esports, as it looks like the late game strategy has completely collapsed onto the head of Nevermore, and this could be the end. They're going to, they're going to go for it. They will have to deal with a Sivir coming up pretty soon. The Cho'Gath will be up as well. Braum is
gonna be
trying
close.
to stop the tide. They're going to go ahead and start chipping away at the other Nexus tower. It is going to fall fast. Nexus is exposed. Frosty's looking for the win. The ultimate by Braum to stop them is not going to come into play. And Frosty Esports will win Game 1.
A blowout, 11K up, not even close for the latter fights of that game. Mr. Convenience, of course, at that Dragon Pit, landed the massive ultimate into the E-Root combo, blowing up both Swain and Sivir, both the carries for Nevermore. Almost instantly, 100-0. Great play by him as well. Of course, Mordekaiser with that cleanup. Shout out to that Camille. The mobility is unparalleled in the top lane.
The shot calling,
really?
Yeah, the shot calling was very good by Frosty Esports. They were able to greatly take advantage of every little nook and cranny Nevermore was able to toss out. Nevermore in this situation has put their biscuits into the late game basket, but they never got to it. So that seems to have failed them in this matchup. But let's see what kind of damage everybody was able to do to each other as we go into this. We take a look at the damage charts here. Sivir's damage ends up being the highest, able to spread that out very cleanly amongst all the members, as they were very much standing as close to each other as possible. But they could not seem to break down their group. They could not seem to get the damage to work the way that they were hoping. And Nasus, despite how strong he was, just could not seem to hit those item spikes that he needed to get this game back into the wraps that they were looking for. Though the Kindred's damage is second highest, that is a very important number, because that Kindred was absolutely dominating for a lot of the fights and a lot of those spreading and damages. He certainly picked up a lot of kills, and that was really good for him.
Let's take a look though at the opposite. Cho'Gath, Psychosully with the amazing, insane 2,880 damage to champions done.
I have to say that is I think that might be the record for a plus 20-minute game with the lowest damage you can get. And I think that for a jungler, I think that might be a personal best for Psychosully. And wow, that's one of those rare sights for him in person. He usually has a better game than that, but I guess, like you said, the game just kind of got away from him and definitely did not work out like he wanted. We'll go on to the damage taken and self-mitigation. Cho'Gath's mostly a mitigation above taken. But when you take a look at this situation with how he's at the front line mostly, he didn't reach his item spikes. He didn't reach that health he wanted to get to. And it could be because of the slow clearing and the lack of follow-up by his team. But another thing you could say as well is there was just, he was here, they were there, and they just never got to each other.
Absolutely.
So
Cho'Gath was behind for the entirety
lots
of
of
the
damage
game.
taken. Sivir and Braum certainly took a lot of damage during that one. They just could not seem to peel each other efficiently, because that Sivir was targeted quite a bit. But you can kind of say the same case over here for the Xayah and the Alistars. They were both caught out as well and were taken out and hitting. They got hit pretty badly. These numbers, honestly, you could say that this match was actually pretty close, but when you watch how effective a team fight can be in the in-game, you would notice that there is a very obvious turning point, and there's a very obvious way that that match ended. So it's kind of weird. The number says that this is close, but it doesn't look that close, and it doesn't feel that close, especially with how it ended. It's weird.
It was a close game up until the bot lane where Braum got caught. That team fight was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, that definitely made a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you for explaining. With the vision score by Kindred, 51 on that being the highest one, the jungler certainly put down a lot of wards, but it was the Alistar that did seem to drop the most. With the 35 wards placed, he could not seem to edge out on that warding category. According to the averages, people say vision score is based off of where you place them. When it's closer to the enemy base, the vision score is better. I think that might be the case because Alistar definitely put down a lot of wards, but did not manage to put him down in areas that seem to be caught in some visions. Let's take a quick look at the control wards, and Nasus bought none, absolutely zero. But another one that surprises me as well, Alistar bought 0 control wards as well.
Who needs control wards? 75 gold could be used for damage.
Says the Alistar.
Indeed.
Well, I think that's enough. I think that's enough explanation of the game. Let's get on to the game 2 stuff here. What a fast one that is. Can this get to another quick match? Or will Nevermore have a much more early game strategy that might lead them to a very interesting outcome? We'll certainly find out, folks, and you'll find out soon enough too. Stick around. And we're coming right back for the game too, folks. Nice, fast, quick, get him out there. Let's see
Indeed.
if there's going to be a Frosty Esports 2-0 here, or will Nevermore go back to their cursed ways with the 1-1. Either way, doesn't really affect Frosty too much on the standings board, as they are basically right where they would love to be. A win here, I think, would pretty much clinch them in playoffs. But as a lot of people have said already, at least number-wise, they believe this is them already in their position. But a 2-0 victory would be the most handsomest little thing. So they really, really want it. And they are going to try to get it. Let's see if they can.
Be good to see a clean game from Frosty to secure the 2-0. Oriana ban taken away from Shy Quinn. Apparently they did not like that pick.
Zoe getting banned as well. Oriana getting taken away, I think, is a good choice. A lot of the time, when an Oriana is played, you most likely think that if they're really good at it, it doesn't really matter because it's all about the team comp that's around them. So Oriana being as good as she is, a lot of the time teams don't really care to ban her. But when you do ban her, that is saying you basically just do not like that champion, don't want to deal with that champion, and the team comp you're up against is really good at synergizing with an Oriana. So at this stage, we don't want to deal with it. You personally, Drax here, what do you think about when Oriana is banned in a competitive environment?
Definitely interesting. I think they're giving a lot of respect to Shy Quinn. I think probably what happened that game, considering Shy Quinn didn't land any massive ultimates that turned the game at any point, it was really about that lane pressure against the Swain. So probably a request ban from To Live Is To Smile on that Swain, saying, I can't really deal with that Oriana. It's too hard. Get me out.
Okay. Well, where we're looking at right now, Braum being secured again says that they are feeling pretty good about the style of play they had last time. They just want to have themselves perhaps a different ADC or a different jungler. But Cho'Gath now available. Psycho Sully's rotation did not work out well, but this could be his baby, which means he may just take it just because it's available. And he does like it a lot. What do you think? Is that a bad idea?
Nocturne locked in for solo rest. Let's see what Psycho picks here. Oh!
Looking at the Shaco option here, probably from the video that he asked me to play, And I wouldn't be too surprised if he actually does go with Shaco, because of the fact that Shaco, although lesser important in the meta, is very good at tricking and manipulating enemies. Can this be Psycho Sully's turning point?
Absolutely. Oh, no, it's a troll.
Absolutely.
Locked in.
Gets you. Gets you with the absolutely.
Unfortunate.
That's where your whole team says let's engage, and then waits for you to make that engage, and then dips, and then just totally leaves you behind. That's exactly what Psycho Sully just did right there. Lucian being selected. This is gonna be some quick passive procking for sure.
Lucian Braum, pretty solid bot lane in terms of synergy. We'll see what support Real Doctor plays to try and counter it. Xayah, of course, locked in for convenience once again. Great AD carry pick in general. Galio locked in. Ooh, they cannot let Mordekaiser have Camille.
Wow. What also would be an interesting little setup here is if you can make Galio be your top laner, or make Galio be your, maybe even Galio be the mid laner and something interesting top. You could have a Nocturne ult engage. Galio follows up with his ultimate. So if it's like you get a Malzahar and then you get a Galio and a Nocturne, well, that person's dead.
Good ban. Good ban. Camille banned out from Mordekaiser, so the synergy there between Camille ult and Galio ult is no longer available for Frosty. Great ban from Nevermore.
Nasus has gone away too. Well, that will leave a good variety choice for Blitzykins. There is no Scion ban, but I don't know if he even plays that one. I'm going to have to check later. Certainly, I'm pretty sure they're going to have to pick it before I figure out if he does or doesn't. Lulu, final ban, basic convenience, has his ADC, so he's looking either at a top laner or support right now. And they're going to steal away Cho'Gath from Psycho Sully, but Psycho Sully obviously already took it, but now Cho'Gath on their team looks very good.
Cho'Gath top lane for Mordekaiser, pretty solid pick. Let's see how Blitzykins responds. A couple of matchups that are good into Cho'Gath, not a lot that are great. Ziggs locked in for the mid lane, Ziggs versus Galio. That's pretty good, actually.
Keep
Ziggs
the bombs coming, that wall will fall. But
whoa! Vayne top lane! No, this has to be another troll, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that. That sounds like a completely insane idea. Even if it's Cho'Gath on the other side, I don't think it's a good idea to take a Vayne just to counter it. Though they do have them outplayed, it's going to be Darius, though. That will be the final option. Darius is a lot more, I think, of a smarter decision. Although Vayne is really good as a counter to Cho'Gath, to take a Vayne into top would be a little too risky, as that would mean a lot of ganks, especially considering Nocturne's on the opposing side. You almost asking to die at that point. Not to mention Nocturne's new ultimate with the spell shield. You can use your ultimate, which means Vayne cannot just panic E anymore to get him off. Vaynes have to wait until the spell shield is officially, he has to wait till the spell shield wears off of its cooldown before using a blast back. But at that time, Nocturne's damage is going to be way too much. So I feel like that was definitely a good call to go Darius instead.
Xayah, Leona locked in for Frosty Esports bot lane. Pretty solid combo there. We've seen not a real Doctor play Leona before. Rakan was available, not taken. Perhaps not a comfortable pick for Doctor in this game. Darius versus Cho'Gath, pretty good matchup for Darius unless he really screws it up. Sejuani versus Nocturne, going to have quite a big power differential after 6. However, see if Sejuani can get some good ganks off before that. Ziggs versus Galio is really just a push war. And of course, a lot of action going to happen in this bot lane. Lucian Braum versus Xayah Leona. Two of the most aggressive lanes you can get. So definitely see a lot of action there.
Yeah, I was actually a little surprised to see this by Nevermore. I was actually thinking that they would take Lucian in mid just to fight against the Galio, but then switch lane somewhere around level 6 where Ziggs basically can just be tossing bombs almost non-stop in that lane. because Lucian's super strong against Galio, because at this point you can dodge the E. Even if the taunt does land, you're still able to get your shots off, so it's only helping your passive. And every ability you do is just going to make it easier. Versus a Xayah Leona situation where you and Braum can just toss your Qs, toss your damage out there, poke it out, and if they try to engage, you can just use your sat charge and such to get them off. So I feel like you could rotate the Lucian and the Ziggs. You could just swap them, and they could just do the same thing as the other one, but I feel better. Like, you could just swap them out, like swap them lane-wise, and they could possibly have a better time in those lanes than to try to go Ziggs against Galio in that early sense, and Lucian against Xayah and Leona on that early sense. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind that To Live Is To Smile is a mid laner, so playing Lucian may not be in the cards, as well as Shro being an AD carry main, not being able to play Ziggs.
But you could take that ADC and go to the top side. Like, you could take Shro. Here's Shro, 47. You could ask him to go mid instead as a lane swap with the mid laner, and that way Ziggs still plays Ziggs in the bot lane, and Lucian still plays in the mid lane in that way, in that area, sorry. And they can get themselves some early advantages and early pressure leads. And I feel like that could work really well and could upset some early advantages that they didn't have last time and force some early laning leads in that situation.
You have to remember, though, a lot of the time it's about the synergy with your jungler as a mid laner and synergy with your support as an AD carry. So the synergy just wouldn't be there as they haven't practiced such a swap. Yeah. While it may be possible in terms of theory crafting, definitely not the wise choice here. Just going to stick with the Lucian Braum synergy. Hopefully can catch out the Xayah with that Braum passive. Can definitely blow her up real fast. However, feels bad. Did make a pretty large macro error in taking exhaust over ignite. Going to be significantly weaker in the bot lane matchup because of that. Ziggs has teleport as well as Galio. So both teleports on both teams. Might see a 5-man bot lane at some point. Would be exciting to see.
Frosty's definitely going for that burst. Like, they want to just remove somebody fast. That's what I think the Leona's decision with Ignite was.
Absolutely.
They definitely want to see
a lot of
as quick as they can.
Going to see a lot of lane action this game. Hopefully, Darius is a very aggressive champion, and of course, Lucian Braum being in a very aggressive duo as well. Hopefully, not going to turn into a farm fest, because if it does, of course, the game will go in favor of the Xayah. Definitely has to be a consideration for Nevermore.
Psycho Sully taking Sejuani, Braum. This is the passive thing I was talking about last game, which is what I was assuming they would talk to do and get around to it. Darius adds extra tick. Zig adds some extra minefield damage. And Lucian can add some ult damage all together in a team fight. Gonna be pretty fun to watch. But it all depends on, can Darius get all 5 of those stacks? Because if he cannot in a team fight, it's not going to go well for him. And I feel like their opponents here are just going to have a better time.
Absolutely. We'll have to see how the early game goes, though, of course, with the Lucian Braum being a very early game composition, along with the Darius Sejuani. If they can get an early, they can keep pushing it against the late game Xayah Galio picks. But anyway, on to the Rift. Everyone's breaking out of their base. And the game has begun. Match 2. Frosty versus Nevermore. Nevermore on the blue side. Frosty on the red side for game 2.
So, team fight-wise, what's the bet? Oh, Solaros not gonna fall for what happened to the Alistar last game. Looks like Feels Bad's not gonna get that chance to get some revenge. Unfortunate for him. Beat him on the ward play. They could not get to Solo Rost in time. Solo Rost's decision here appears to be going for the Dark Harvest, so it's trying to utilize that ultimate to get as much damage on that first hit as possible is a good idea. But where does he go, and what is the easiest lane to go to? I would vote for Ziggs to be that early and easy one, because Nocturne just needs to wait till Galio gets into his range, gets some taunt, and then makes that play.
Absolutely right. In terms of lanes to gank, he does have quite a few options. Mid lane being pretty simple with the Galio taunt, top lane being the Cho'Gath CC, and of course bot lane with the Leona. Has a lot of options. However, keep in mind, Nocturne is not an early game jungler, so he's kind of locked until level 6. Not going to be able to do much in terms of gank. Has a fear, has a Q, and that's about it. At this point, hopefully just matches the Sejuani in terms of sheer gank power. Sejuani going to be more successful in general. Pretty standard clear pass though. Nocturne going buff, Wolves buff most likely. Might add in the Raptors in there somewhere. Sejuani going to Raptors. They're going to meet around top side at about 1 minute from now, 3 minutes. So hopefully some action already in the bot lane. Shro bullying them with that Lucian pick.
Yeah, just a little bit of trading there. Nothing too serious. Does get to press the attack. Definitely going to come into play for sure when you get the Sejuani and company bonuses, because that's where Darius's passive is going to go really nicely in a team fight if he gets this to proc off. Brahm's going to go really nicely with that too, as well as Sejuani, and just really able to get this one person and just get rid of him. But, you know, Frosty's got the same idea too. Let's just get rid of one person and get rid of him fast. So it's going to be, is Nocturne going to get caught out and destroyed, or is someone else on Nevermore going to get caught out and destroyed? That's certainly the question.
If Nocturne goes in at a bad time and Galio ult is not available to save him, he will blow up quite quickly. Oh, a little duel in the river.
Ooh, Psycho Sully will use the Q to get out of there, but Quinn's going to try to lock off here. Going to force some damage on him. Shaquin is going to lose a lot of his health bar here. Nocturne unable to continue that pressure. Shaquin will be forced to back off.
A little bit of pressure in the mid lane will be a net gain for the side of Nevermore. Galio sitting at a very bad state HP-wise. No pots available. Might have to burn TP early just to get back to lane. And the bot lane, Lucian winning the matchup already, pushing in the Xayah Leona. To be expected from the Lucian Braum. One of the earliest, strongest combos, except for Xayah Rakan, of course. Nocturne managed to counter jungle. This is Juani's Raptor camp. Going to get the first lead of the game so far.
So Blitzykins is able to get the 5-stack on that Cho'Gath. That's going to be some big burst.
Oh, in the bot lane.
Oh, the surprise play onto that Lucian. Can they get the burst? The last auto does come through. Solo Ross gets the first blood. And unfortunately, that was every CC they had just to make sure that Lucian was going to go down. They will not be able to do anything to get this Braum afterwards. So that's only a one good kill. Great job by Solo Ross. Great job.
Not only taking the enemy Raptor camp, one of the best things you can do in terms of counter jungling, pathing through the enemy jungle where there are no wards, avoiding the enemy vision line, getting that cheeky gank behind them through the tri-bush. Solo Ross is looking pretty good these two games.
Cho'Gath at this point is just trying to get to that big stage, and that is exactly all he needs to worry about. But for Darius, at that early mid-game approach, right around to that level 6 time, he wants to get him so low that he just can just do that easy combo, what he just did right there. You just want to get a lot of those in the early, so when he gets that level 6, he just needs to hit another clean combo and take him out.
Teleport was burned for Galio, and it's still available for the Ziggs, so Ziggs taken down to about 50% HP. Might need to burn the teleport just as Galio did a couple of minutes earlier. Negatron Cloak purchased for the Galio.
Nocturne just needs to get that level 6 as well, and we will definitely see some big plays from him to come. Just where, though, is the big question, and Nevermore's got to be really worried because they have no idea where he's going to head out. Could be going mid. That's most likely the best option, considering Ziggs has very little to get away, except for Flash and Satch Charge. That's all he's got. And as for top laning, Darius, kind of an easy target as well, but he will try to force himself for a 1v2, and if Nocturne plays this poorly, does go down. But in bot lane, Braum can't really do too much to protect the Lucian because it's melee attacks. Speaking of melee, it looks like Leona's going in right now for a minor trade. Mr. Convenience certainly going to commit in. The root will make some more damage happen, and Leona will end up getting some pressure, but not enough to make a big play, so they're not going to try anything too big until the cooldowns are back.
The key to the Lucian Braum synergy is Braum has to land an auto or the Winter's Bite of his Q to proc his passive. Not being able to do that on the Xayah in that trade, losing the trade substantially. In the mid lane, that's a 12 CS lead for the Galio, looking pretty good already in that regard. In the top lane, you have
Confirmed
a massive
take by Sully.
Oh.
They're going to try to chase right after that.
Galio.
The ultimate is going to come into play. They're going to make Leona go right back in. They're going to try to get one more kill for the road. Leona gets the bursting proc, but not a real doctor. Needs to eat some plants fast. The heal comes up for him. He might be able to live a little longer, but not long enough. It's Ziggs that gets the quick kill. Here comes Solo Ross and a TP by Blitzikins, as it looks like we're focusing to try to get some more kills, but they all back off. Gonna let him leave. So they get a 1-for-1 there. They could have gone for more, but the call was to retreat on both ends. What do you think?
It was a close fight. The Galio ult being pretty timely on Shy Quinn. Heroic entrance saving his teammate. I think we actually missed a solo kill. Look at the scoreboard. Ziggs is 2-0, but he only picked up 1 kill in that fight. And there's a death on the Galio. So at some point in this game that we somehow missed, the directed camera at least, Ziggs must have solo killed the Galio. Oh, knocked him with the ultimate.
One he's going to go for. There's no mana on the Lucian. He literally cannot do anything as he's going to be chipped away at. But it's not going to be as much as he was hoping. Mr. Convenience comes in with the feathers to finish the job. He did not get as much burst as he was expecting, but he did lower him enough for the next ability to do the trick. I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking the solo queue mentality when I'm playing Darius, but in that last fight, I would have, if I have an ultimate and I know that there's a few low enemies, I would commit my resources to going for the dunk. Clearly, Blitzikin is the type of person that likes to not go for dunks all the time, but I would absolutely go for it in every situation. I'm surprised he didn't, but maybe he's just taking the smart call and playing safe.
Lucian could have actually turned that around quite easily, had heal available, but panicked, not using it in time, dying to convenience.
Oh, okay. Gonna use the stat shards to get
Leona's coming up.
Ooh, yep, and I think he sniffed it out too, so he's gonna play it safe. Blitzzikin takes out the control ward, as his farming is way better than Cho'Gath's for obvious reasons. Cho'Gath not at his level spike yet, not at his late game. Squishy in the early compared to a Darius. So Blitzy's just going to take advantage of that, forcing him back.
Lucian has hit level 6, as well as Xayah. Those ultimates going to come into play in the next fight for sure. Mountain Drake available. Phage completed for the Darius. I want to see a lot of trading go down in the top lane, if possible.
Let's see, Sully gonna play his hand here, gonna already reveal where he's heading off to as they're working on his blue buff right now, Nocturne and Cho'Gath.
He's gonna plant over right in there.
Oh, wow, Sully had a split second for the smite, just did not seem to activate it in time, and will be telling the hooligans to get off of his lawn as they're gonna already run out. He had a split second to drop that smite, but I think he just, you know, it's reflexes at that point, and he certainly did not have it at that time.
Absolutely. He didn't know they were doing it, planting over into possible death. For certain, not understanding they were currently counter jungling his blue buff. In the bot lane, 1-0-3, 1-1 and 2 versus 0-2-1, 0-1-1. However, Lucian has bought the Cull, 55 stacks currently. Once that procs, will catch up a little bit in terms of gold to the Xayah.
Yep. So pressure still staying in the mid side here. Ziggs unable to keep up in the farm race against the Galio so far. But it's another gank play here. The ultimate lands on
Sejuani's here.
It's going to be Solo Ross having to switch targets. Here comes the Galio ultimate, the root lockdown. He needs to pull it in. He's not going to get able to get that chance to get Braum. And there's Frosty Esports, his first attempt at the Wombo combo play. And honestly, that looked a little off on the timing. I think if they did it just a few half seconds earlier, that might have been a really well-crafted engage. That was just a little off timing.
Keep in mind, Galio ult is most effective with other abilities that trap people in. Yorick, Camille, Jarvan, those are great picks with the Galio. While Nocturne ult can utilize the damage reduction portion of it at least. Nothing to keep them within the stun radius. Darius, well, ahead in farm, not really bullying out this Cho'Gath meaningfully.
As you say that, he's going to start bullying right now. As he notices that the jungler was bot side, going to force the 5 proc onto Mordekaiser. And that's about it. He's not going to try anything else.
He might actually be past his window to bully this Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath only taking 75% of his HP from the Darius full combo. Of course, his passive going to heal him back here. This could actually be really bad for Darius.
He's going to certainly try for it. And the Q, I can't believe it misses. And I think he almost, yep, he misplayed himself there a little bit. He does get all 5 of it. He could go. He's going to dunk it in, but it's still not enough damage. And Mordekaiser will survive with that tick. So that's going to tell Blitzykins that that window of opportunity to bully is no longer there. Right there.
Absolutely. Missing the Q. Massive mechanical misplay from Blitzykins, causing his own demise. Their flashes traded. This game is looking all Frosty's pace. This might be the 2-0 they were looking for.
Yep. And Frosty has their control with the 2K lead at this point as well. Darius coming back. Gonna try to keep his farm ahead of the Cho'Gath at this point because I don't think you can really bully him anymore, as we've already established. I've already seen. Consume coming up pretty soon for Cho'Gath. Interesting. Okay, well Sully certainly did not know where that bot lane was going. And as soon as he jumped over, he was like, oh, they're not here. And then he went right back to the Tribush. Oh, there they are.
Playing a little game of hide and seek.
Oh, uses ultimate in defense. And it looks like the bot lane will avoid it. So there goes Sully's ultimate there. Oh boy, that was a misplay on his part right there.
Once again, Solo Ross managing a massive CS lead against Psycho Sully as a jungler.
Wait! Go back! Okay, for a second there. Thought he might
have
lost
the camera?
One.
Ah, I see.
Yeah,
pink ward, yes.
It was the ward, the zombie ward. It would be hilariously comedic if they left that behind. Alright.
40 CS ahead in the jungle role. Hitting 100 CS in 14 minutes, not bad from Solo Rost. Ziggs, though, with the 2-0, 98 CS, he is going to be the only hope for his team and Nevermore Esports. Oh, Leona lands the engage.
Ooh, this could be a good one. They are going to try to get some damage back. No, they won't, actually. They'll just take the damage and run. Oh, never mind. There it is. Sully, no ultimate here, is just going to pressure out. This is a situation where an ultimate would have been pretty nice to have.
Take a look at the top lane. Nocturne looking for the ultimate onto Darius, but going to find himself a blue buff instead. Sejuani's caught on the wrong side of the map.
Yep, and there's no objective over there, so Sedge was just looking for a play at bot side, and that reveal to that low position is going to end up making him lose a blue buff. Great job on the communication by Frosty Esports. They are just fully prepared to tell every single team member what is the enemy doing and when they're doing it and what to steal and when to steal it.
Solo Roust, level 9, going to hit level 10 soon. Psycho Sully just having hit level 8. Not going to be the tank that his team needs him to be. Almost deja vu to the Cho'Gath last game. In the mid lane, Shyquin taken to 60% HP by the Ziggs. Ziggs starting to do damage. Ninja Tab by bot by Shyquin against his Ziggs laning opponent. Not going to help him out too much there.
Yeah, I think the idea is if I'm going to get auto-attacked into a passive, maybe I can reduce some of those auto-attacks by Lucian. Maybe I could reduce some of those auto-attacks by Ziggs. Maybe just a little bit, and maybe that's all I need for armor, not to worry about the tenacity. Considering their tenacity on their skill shots are around, what, 2 to 1 seconds long on average? Like, The max version of Sejuani's E is 2 seconds, and the Braum's passive, I believe, is a second and a half on a stun. He's clearly not worried about that. That's not even a concern for him. He's worried more about getting auto-attacked to death.
Flash from
Sully unfortunately missing another ultimate there. Dropping a little bit of mastery level. You can see why he doesn't get level 7, folks. No, I shouldn't say that.
Oh, Shyquin taking it to 40% HP. Having not a lot of MR to defend against.
I'm going to apologize to him later.
In the top lane, Darius actually doing potato damage.
I am, though. I'll say that.
He's healing him.
Oh,
Mordekaiser could just fight him.
And that is just about how that is. And Darius, now with the Ninja Tabby against him, I don't think there's much Darius can really do about this. Mr. Convenience and Not a Real Doctor are in range for a surprise play, but they're not going to get that chance. The ward immediately reveals it. And they're out of there.
Definitely still all Frosty's pace. Mountain Dragon goes over to them. Next dragon to spawn will be, of course,
tries for the root,
another
doesn't
mountain.
work. Lucian carefully dodges it. Oh, coming in. Flash jumping. Not going to give that a chance. Leona now caught out. Psycho Sully looking for that jungler. It's going to be a very close double CC lockdown that they're looking for. Galio coming in. He's going to hit the CC onto Sejuani. Here comes the Nocturne ultimate. They take out the Lucian. Solorast almost disappeared this entire match. Finally comes back into the game.
Take a look at the top lane. Cho'Gath versus Darius. It's not. Action's not over yet. The knockup lands. Oh!
Flash in the nick of time. And Mordekaiser will survive it. Blitzykins has got to be like, what do I have to do, man? This is ridiculous. Why can't I beat this guy? Like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm cutting him down. I'm hitting away at him. Why can't I beat this Cho'Gath? Like, what in the levels makes Cho'Gath so much stronger than me? I just don't get it, man. Oh,
Solorast taken to 10% HP. No ultimate available for the Ziggs. Another Mountain Dragon goes over to Frosty.
Good attempt.
This game should close out soon. Lucian not scaling at all whatsoever.
Not to mention a lot of fast auto-attacking, mostly melee range auto-attacking for their team. Actually, almost all, if it wasn't for the fact that Xayah's on the other side. They're going to be able to take towers really quickly. Thank you very much for the follow, by the way. Really appreciate that.
Ziggs going to be the last man standing. A no death perfect game so far. Going to provide the wave clear to keep his team in the game for as long as he possibly can.
It's still, I gotta be honest, I'm kind of surprised there has not been a sneaky play on Ziggs mid, but I guess when the ultimate's up on Nocturne, you know, Ziggs just leaves. So I guess it's just convenience, really, that has been, you know, uneventful or unsuccessful for Rost. Any attempt to get Ziggs, I mean.
Keep in mind, with the flash available, stopwatch, and the long range of Ziggs in general, he can clear waves from a mile away. Forcing a fight on him is difficult, even with the best conditions. So really, easier pickings on the Lucian. Abyssal Mass completed for the Galio mid, going to be quite tanky with the Ninja Tabi as well against all members of Nevermore Esports. Black Cleaver, Warrior, and Lucidity Boots completed by Nocturne. Oh, and the pause.
Yep, and it's not a duo esports game without one. There you go, folks. Boy, if you guys remember from yesterday, this ought to look very familiar, as a game was decided based off of this pause, and I'll let you guys know for a fact that that's not going to happen this time. I will make sure personally that I do the right thing at the right time, because I should have done it in the first place, and I will make sure I will get it done if we're even getting close to that 15-minute mark. Which we're not.
Both teams have declared their ready status. The game will resume. Keep an eye on the Nocturne. Ultimate is available. Can make a play whenever they decide to. They have all of the cards in this game. The only way that Nevermore can make a comeback and prevent the 2-0 is a massive throw from Frosty Esports.
I'll tell you what happened to Fluff afterwards. Yeah, I'll let you know what happened afterwards. Anyway, to get to the next point, Nocturne gets rid of the vision area. Oh,
here he comes!
And here it comes again with the heavy play on him. The spell shield on that Braum ultimate. No, actually, Braum ultimate missed badly. I thought Braum ultimate was actually used really well there. Actually, it went completely to the 11 o'clock position instead of the 7 o'clock position to where Nocturne was running. Ooh, this could be an interesting
little
fight,
action in the tri-bush.
I don't think Sully wins this one. He's going to use the fear to back him out.
In the top lane, Mordekaiser versus Blitzy.
Is cutting away, hit him very slowly. It is starting to work a bit because he also can't proc his passive with the auto attack. So, because he, it's the Thornmail has to be a problem here too.
As well, yeah, cutting down on Cho'Gath's passive healing, going to make these trades a little bit better, as well as the fact that Cho'Gath burned 720 gold into the Negatron cloak. I assume itemizing against that Ziggs damage, going to make the 1v1 a bit easier for Darius.
Yeah.
However, of course, the armor from Bremel Vest not going to play a factor whatsoever in the Cho'Gath 1v1. Really, the island top lane has rang true. Up until now, Leona comes up for a gank.
Certainly spooking the Darius, or just simply backing because he needs to get an item. Leona will be coming into lane, and that will convince Darius to back in a much safer area, as he's going to go ahead and run towards his tri-bush. Meanwhile, in that, I have to say I'm more curious to see what Blitzykins' approach from this point onward is going to be, considering he's looking over at what is now going to be a Abyssal Mask for this Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath doesn't have that much armor, but he does have enough to deal with a Darius in the top spot. Then again, a rotation's also a good idea, and that's exactly what the bot lane of Frosty Esports is doing.
Oh, Nocturne's coming up for the counter gank. Here he comes.
Oh, here comes a big play by Solarost. It's going to be a CC lockdown. Here comes an ultimate. Gonna stop the
Lucian Brahms here.
Play. The Nocturne gets bursted and taken out by the Lucian. The 4-man at topside has completely bewildered the Frosty Esports. The dunk onto the sun, and he takes out the Leona. I don't know if Nevermore has enough left in the tank.
It's a 4v2,
but they
4v1.
will take out the ADC. 4 members going down. Mordekaiser very tanky, but cannot win this fight against 4 of them, even if he does try to force it. So he's going to go for the silence. Oh, wait, he might try something. He's going to go for Sully. He does get enough passive proc for that. The Q was well placed, but the flash by Darius prevents that play from happening, and Nevermore gets themselves an ace to get them back into this game. Well,
that was a massive pickup by the Cho'Gath. Mordekaiser killing the Sejuani there, preventing a Baron. Massive play.
Galio.
Oh, he might be in trouble here, 3v1.
It's not going to stop it, though. Oh, it's CC coming in onto Shaquin. He's stepping over the minefield as well. They would have continued, but they're too worried about where Leona and Nocturnes are going to be, so they're going to back off.
No mana on the Ziggs means no damage. Can't auto-attack his way to victory on this one. However, like we mentioned, the only way that Nevermore have a chance in this game is if Frosty throws, and they did. Now the gold lead now down to 1.4 thousand. 2 Mount Drake still available for Frosty Esports.
Now let's
maybe
be
can
fair
make
here.
a difference.
Frosty Esports had no idea that Nevermore was going to have anybody top. Like, they were expecting just a Darius and a jungler. That's all they saw.
Oh, the ultimate lands on Xayah.
Long-range ultimate hits on target, but it's a long-range ultimate in return by Leona, who will be returned fire by a Solarost, blocking out the sun. And I feel like that just kind of, that is the sun penetrating through the darkness, or does the darkness cover the sunlight? Because I feel like they're kind of countering each other in a way, don't you think?
Well, at the moment, Nocturne's 3-1 and Leona's 1-2, so I think the darkness wins this one.
Alright, fair enough. To live is to smile, rotating over to the mid lane. He still has not died in this matchup.
Oh, Cho'Gath in a bad spot.
Yeah, I don't think he is ever going to be in a situation where he will die unless they force him to go down. That's a big Cho'Gath. A big Cho'Gath.
4-1, 3 items completed. Definitely better than Psycho Sully's Cho'Gath in the first game. A bit more of a front line for his team. Of course, Nocturne itemizing more tanky in this game. Black Cleaver over lethality, and of course, with the Chain Vest probably building into something like a Dead Man's Plate. So he's looking to be a second front line. It's putting more pressure on Xayah. Keep in mind, this is a pretty low damage composition. In the mid lane, they have Galio. So in this late game, if they're able to drag it out on the side of Nevermore with the Ziggs wave clear, they could be in some serious trouble. Frosty could be in some serious trouble because they only have one real damage source.
Can Frosty, though, get their wombo combo to work super well? Because that is something that has been a little bit seconds or milliseconds off consistently so far. They have not got their wombo combo to work consistently. And that is something that may be a big red sign, or sorry, red flag that will be very bad for them in the match to come. Sorry, I'm very distracted. Still can't seem to comprehend that whole darkness and light thing.
Both Galio and Cho'Gath have no teleport. No one going to the bot lane for either team. Oh, a catch on Not a Real Doctor. Galio
coming in. He will not be able to get that to work like he wanted to, but he does get a little on the edge. Ziggs takes out the Xayah, but Galio will end up going down to Ziggs as well, actually. I was actually a little surprised about that. Nocturne ultimate here, and it is going to be the fear that will lead him into the mouth of the beast. As it looks like Psycho Sully and company are not happy to see their Darius die, and they're chasing right after that Leona. Tried to get some proc off, not enough. They're going to go ahead and head over as they're thinking about a Baron call here. They might go for it. I think it's a good call. Nocturne has no ultimate. They have no vision of the spot, and they're going to go for it.
They have no Mountain Drink, so it'll take a little longer than normal, however.
Either, so they're not going to make a guess here. No, Nocturne, he's going to reveal the ploy. Nocturne's still no way to steal this. He has to make a flash over.
Oh, he flashed over way too early.
Oh, man, and there it is. He's going to end up getting bursted. They still have a chance to steal this, but it might be a... Oh, so close. No consume for Mordekaiser. He used it in the team fight, and therefore, he couldn't use it in that situation. Solarost's gamble does not pay off.
Flashed way too early there. Got a bit antsy on that steal. Not entirely sure what he was expecting to happen there.
He just didn't see anything, so he was looking at the health bar of that Baron, and I think he just saw it like drop from 4,000 to 3,000 so quick that he might have just made a guess that their damage was so much more than he thought. So he just jumped in there. It's a common misread, but when you have a control ward, that's what happens when you make people think before they react. Like, you make them fear that they're going to miss their opportunity. All decisions going to end up adding some extra fear, but they're not too afraid of the darkness as they're hugging each other at this point. Lucian was the only one in that bad spot, but they're not too worried about that now. It will be a tower falling rather fast as they're chipping away at it really quickly, and it will be a quick tower take down. And Nevermore has the game well in their hands thanks to those towers down and the Baron call.
Could see a big team fight here, though. Oh, Convenience gets caught. Down to 40% HP.
Not a Real Doctor is going to get chased after by the Lucian. Mr. Convenience going to try to get a root. Oh, great timing on that ultimate. But Leona not going to live long enough. Does go down to the Lucian. So Nevermore's curse of always going with the tie seems to be happening right now.
In their favor, no less, having a massive disadvantage, but being able to pull it back thanks to the work of To Live Is To Smile on that mid lane. 5-0 for Ziggs. Doing work, keeping his team in the game. This is how you carry solo queue, folks. Play consistently, don't die, and you can pull back losing games.
Tower going down here.
Oh, the Nocturne!
To end that streak, but it looks to be not the case. Lucian was the one who's focused. The wombo combo comes in. It's everybody against everybody at this point. Darius go for an early dunk onto Nocturne. It's not going to be enough damage. And in the back line, Lucian takes out the Galio. Mordekaiser is a tanky beast, but he still manages to go down. Nevermore might be able to win off of this play. They're going right for the Leona. They take him out. The inhibitor's going to come down. This might be the end. Looks like Nevermore's going to get their own very clean win and victory here. It's going to be a Nexus Siege beginning. Nocturne does not have the damage, and I don't think has enough peel to hold off that situation. He's going to try for it, though, forcing his way in. The towers were not up in time to try to make that defensive stand, and both of them go down fast to the Darius. And it will be a Nexus take for Nevermore and a victory as they force themselves back into another tie. Back to the ties again for Nevermore, as it's a 1-for-1 on each side again. What an interesting outturn. And all because of a few misplays, and all because of a few misreads, and a couple of bad guesses, and not enough ward placement, did Frosty Esports lose this match. And it could be because of confidence. It could have been because they just thought that this was going to be another quick match. Heck, we could even say it could have been because they assumed that their wombo combo was going to work too well. But it did not seem to come together when it needed to, and the damage did never reach Ziggs when it mattered.
Absolutely. Take a look at the damage chart. Like I said, the composition focusing really heavily on the Xayah when the Nocturne builds that off tank that he did. If he went full lethality, it's entirely possible he could one-shot either the Ziggs or Lucian, depending on who is out of position, and provide some extra damage for his team. But because he went for the Black Cleaver Deadmans, he put way too much pressure on a Xayah that wasn't actually all that ahead to begin with. Most of the gold lead was on Solo Ross and Mordekaiser on that Cho'Gath. So quite a big itemization mistake there, although whether it would have mattered in this specific game, I'm not sure. Of course, with the macro mistakes that Frosty made in the second game being the greatest reason for their loss.
I'm gonna tell you a number real quick, and then I'm gonna ask you who you think got this score. Crowd control score 144. Who do you think got that?
Most likely Leona.
Nocturne 144.
Nocturne. Wait, does his ultimate count towards crowd control score?
Yeah. I
so
guess
the vision loss adds to that number.
Wow.
It's a bit inflated.
That's a bit inflated indeed. In fact, I don't think that has to be the highest crowd control score I have ever seen. Wow. That is actually the highest possible in Duo Esports history. And all because of, I think, the changes to his ultimate counting now as a crowd control score. Huh. I wonder if that works with TF's abilities too. Well, enough of that jibber jabber. Let's talk about the damage to champions real fast. Looks to be Xayah with a lot, 22.4 on their side. No one else was able to do any damage on the follow-up though, even despite all the extra burst. Cho'Gath, 27.3 is the second highest one on that team, but on to the other side, the Lucian and the Ziggs, they're able to get their press the attack proc off, and Ziggs able to get those Ludens off. Darius's damage certainly came in too, and we were counting him out because of how the laning phase was going, but definitely when you get him into the team fights, he's a different monster. That's very much true.
I think actually most of that total damage to champions on the Darius was inflated by his duels with the Cho'Gath, and the same thing for Cho'Gath. Oh, yes. I'm pretty sure most of their damage dealt came from the laning phase, because if we recall in the team fights, both of them really didn't do much.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I kind of, that was an incorrect wording on my part. Let's go ahead and talk about damage taken and mitigation. Looks like Nocturne took quite a lot of it. Couldn't seem to mitigate it when it came down to it. But he was definitely looking like an interesting pick for sure until they just couldn't get that wombo combo setup to work like they wanted. It just few seconds off, just a few. And that's just unlucky. but the damage taken by the Cho'Gath looking pretty good. This is how I think of self-mitigation. They're just around the same corner as the Taken. This is usually how a Cho'Gath is normally played in that regard. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Galio definitely mitigated a lot, and the Xayah did tank quite a bit, and I think that might have been another issue. They didn't really have a peel plan. Their plan was to get in there and beat them up as fast as possible and get rid of them, but I don't know, man. I feel like they put too much effort into trying to get on top of them and not enough effort in trying to get the damage there, you know?
Exactly. Zaya's not exactly a champion that can go forward like that. If they had the Tristana, if they had the perhaps could have been a Caitlyn as well, just due to the range. Something like that can put out the damage necessary. Xayah, a lot of her power budget goes into her ultimate, which while can do a lot of damage to squishy champions, can't necessarily do a lot of damage to the front line. So if she's left to fight the Darius on her own, she's not going to be doing much.
We have ourselves a decent vision score this time around. Looks like everybody's vying for that top spot, but in the end, Sejuani and Psycho Sully comes out on top, dropping over a total of 38 wards placed in that matchup. Not too surprised that he ends up with the highest on the vision score department. I'm curious though, does he get a control ward this time? Yes, he does. Okay, there we go. So Alistar in the last game goes no control wards. Certainly learned from his mistake. Does get himself quite a good number of control wards this time around. And I think that means that they came up with the victory because of it, too.
Ooh, correlation does not imply causation, but definitely going to help them out in the victory in general.
Correlation and causation, the classics. So, speaking of classics, it's time for the standout player, where we get ourselves a nice little decent interview. What tickled your fancy, my friend? Was it To Live Is to Smile Game 2, or was it Mordekaiser's top laning performance? As both he did a really decent job in Game 1, despite missing a decent amount of ease. Although I think maybe he had a sticky keyboard, perhaps, because he was really tossing them out almost anywhere. And his Cho'Gath was almost a really unstoppable machine. I don't know. There's a lot of answers. There's a lot of possibilities. Blitzikin's definitely had a great turning point. He was looking great on the Nasus, although the game collapsed around him. And Blitzy did look really good when the Darius, as his time to come around was. So, although ADC-wise was also pretty decent, what do you think? What's the deciding factor for you?
Solo Rasa essentially carried the first game on the Kindred and did really well in the second game as well, but I have to not give it to him because in the second game a lot of the throws were based on his plays. So a lot of the blame goes on him. So because of that, I'd have to give it to Live Is to Smile for that stellar second game performance on the Ziggs. He managed to bring back a 2-10 deficit, both kills being on him and 0 deaths. Admirable. Even if he fed the first game, that second performance was so incredible, I'd have to give it to him.
Okay, I feel where you're coming from here, and I think I'll agree with you, because the one thing that's always a big issue with shot calling is you have to factor in milliseconds when it comes to engages. And I feel like Rost he said when you heard the word go, as soon as you heard the O part, he was already in. So that's how much he was already right into that position. And that half a millisecond of reaction timing by his teammates, I think, was the factoring part of why he was able to, sadly, not able to make much of anything else. And there's also a big question I have for it. Right around in the mid game, he kind of disappeared for a long time. Like, he almost went right into the jungle and never ganked another lane ever. So it was really bizarre, because he was really rocking it pretty nicely with the early ganks, and his ultimate was coming up, and he was looking really cool, and it looked like he had some sort of plan. But now 100%. It just didn't seem to get to where he wanted.
100% what happened is they thought that they had the victory already. And so he just kind of autopiloted, and then that's most likely what occurred.
Yeah, that is, I mean, of course, the most likely of the case, but let's have a little bit of let's give it a little bit of a possibility and stretch it out a bit. Go ahead, to live is to smile. You have won the standout player. Let's go ahead and get you in for the interview, shall we? Okay. Let's see where he's at. Well, there he is. There's the guy. Let's go ahead and bring him in for the casting lobby. To live is to smile. Mid laner of none other than the tyingest tie team of all tiedom, Nevermore.
Wouldn't be a Nevermore match if we didn't go 1-1.
How does this keep happening to you guys? My first question is, how? How do you guys always find a way to get this tie?
Since I joined the team, the first 1-1, we won the first match. We kind of let that second match go. This time we just focus more
on the receiving end of that exact thing, actually.
Yeah, we focused more on the draft phase second match, and we were able to pull it together in the comms and pull it out that way, I think.
Okay. Well, my next question is going to be, unless Drax, you got anything. Do you have a question?
Yeah, absolutely. What was going through your mind when your team was 0-10 and you were 2-0?
Well, our ADC doesn't like getting the Guardian Angels, but because of what was happening to him early on, we were just like, dude, you got to get this. And at one point we joked about the Zonias, but as I said, we were just able to stay cool. If I could honor everyone for that, I would have, because we all did. It was a tilting early game, but we stayed cool, pulled it together, calm, cool, collected.
Yeah, you absolutely did. Boy, you must have been a little nervous when you saw a couple of those those ultimates by Nocturne. Did you even think for a second he was going to come to mid lane with one of those?
Every time I see one of those, I always just got to act like he's coming for me. So that's why.
Throw shot shards on the ground. Throw it on the ground.
Yeah, just before we started that push, he ulted but didn't actually go in, and I was like always in the back. Nocturne's one of my trigger champions when it comes to laning and him being in the jungle. So
well, you certainly didn't have to worry about him this game. He just never seemed to got to you. That Zhonya's hourglass on the last team fight was almost like something of a godsend, because you were just like, oh.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think he was trying to go for row 47, but
well, he certainly had the fear on him for sure. Okay, well, that being the case, final question for you tonight is, Nevermore, back onto the curse, question mark? Is this a tie spree for the rest of the season? You only have a couple of weeks left. Can the tie spree continue? Or will Nevermore find their way into some more wins into the future? You're running out of time, guys. What do you think?
I want to say that we'll be able to pull through, but I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to get too cocky coming down to the last couple weeks. So,
well, I want to say, man, genuinely speaking, very proud of your performance. Draxier is even more so proud. A lot of the time in a competitive environment, when the team starts crumbling around you, to start losing some hope and some faith, but you certainly proved it otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, to live is to smile, the mid laner of Nevermore. Thank you very much for this standout interview.
Thank you for the award. You guys have a good one.
Absolutely, man.
Doors to your right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. I totally forgot to say that. Thank you, Trax. You totally saved me from that horrible thing that Blaze would have yelled at me for. All right. Well, that should just about cover it, folks. If you take a look on your screen right now, you should definitely be seeing the 1-for-1 for Nevermore and the Frosty Esports. This match has been a very interesting one because you never say give up, even if your team lets you down. Speaking of lets you down, it's time for some more advertising. All right. Now for real, though. Advertise time, folks. It is Gathering of Warriors coming up pretty soon. There's a very unique one coming in at that, too. A unique one in particular, that is the battle between Peach Gobbler and that guy 01, aka the King of Duo. They will be having a battle royale against each other in the mid lane, as they will be going against each other for the sake of the highest pool of donation, since they both gave each other exactly 100. Well, actually, not exactly both. One gave 101, the King of Duo, for the Edge Lord #1 spot. That's him. As well as Peach Gobbler gave $100 to get that spot in the first place. They will be having a beautiful matchup to come. I was hoping I'd be able to play on one of their teams, but unfortunately, I am going to be the streamer for that Wednesday at 8 p.m. matchup. So please show up for it, because it's going to be a really fun little matchup between two of the highest donations we've ever gotten on Duo Esports history. We're really hoping that this match is going to be everything in a nutshell for how we believe these two, although not exactly friends, are going to be good competitors to watch. Now, that's it for the Gathering of Warriors here. Tune in for the usual drops of none other than the tower dives later in the week and the top 5 plays to come in that week as well. This is Army Overlord, your camera guy and your play-by-play caster, or I guess I was kind of play-by-play caster. What do you think, Drax?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well then, and that was Draxier, the now master tier. No, I'm kidding. You're almost there.
Jump
You
into,
tell me you're almost
you're
there.
jinxing me. If I fail, I'm blaming you.
No! It's me believing in you, man. I believe.
Counting your
and I
chickens
can't wait
before
to
they
watch
hatch.
your stream tomorrow, by the way. Anyway, folks, that's all. Good night, everybody. We'll see
Good
you.
night.
We'll see you on Wednesday, 8 p.m. for the Gathering of Warriors. I hope you guys are going to be very happy at that contest, because I'm certainly excited to see if Gobbler or the King of Duo gets their way. See you guys later. Goodbye.